K-Pop Demon Hunters, it is a smash hit success. Over 236 million views on Netflix and counting. These are not only the biggest numbers that any animated movie has gotten on Netflix, but the biggest of any Netflix movie in general in any genre. Actually ludicrous stuff. But that's not the only place that K-Pop Demon Hunters has now hit #1, as on September 14th, 2025, K-Pop Demon Hunters managed to take the #1 slot on the Billboard Hot 100. And this is right after, about a month ago, Golden from the K-Pop Demon Hunters soundtrack hit #1 as well. While it sounds like this is a case of thunder following lightning, where getting a hit album means you must have a hit single or vice versa, it's actually not. This is only the 7th time ever that an animated movie album has hit #1, and the 3rd time ever that a single from an animated movie has hit #1, which I guess means Huntrix really don't miss. Though the album was definitely an instant success, it wasn't able to top the charts properly until now. Apparently the movie's soundtrack spent 7 non-consecutive weeks being #2, and just now grew to #1, a quarter of a year after the film's release. So why now? I mean, the movie's been out since the end of June. Is it just endlessly growing in popularity? There's actually a more tangible reason that this may have happened, as it has to do with the soundtrack recently having 2 brand new releases. Billboard says that the surge to #1 follows the album's deluxe reissue on September 5th with additional tracks, plus the wide release of its CD that day. So basically, the K-Pop Demon Hunters soundtrack, which obviously was already available on streaming given it has been literally everywhere, was only just now made available physically. This, alongside the release of the deluxe version, gave the album the push to that #1 slot. People wanted the thing physically, which kinda makes sense. Makes me wonder what will happen to the movie if Netflix ever goes out of business. But at least the soundtrack has now been safely distributed physically. And seeing how big the movie's fanbase has been, I think it makes total sense that it sold well. Even if the double release may have pushed the album over the finish line, it's still no easy feat. Golden reaching #1 is particularly noteworthy, as far as I can tell, it's the first song from a non-Disney animated musical to do this ever. The last time this happened was We Don't Talk About Bruno from Encanto, and that in itself was a massive feat. Encanto was the first time a song from a 3D animated musical had pushed a single to #1. And before that, the only time a song from an animated musical had hit #1 at all was A Whole New World from Aladdin. And to be honest, when I heard that, it immediately sounded strange to me. While I was glad for Lin-Manuel Miranda, I felt like something was missing, you know? A certain song from a certain Disney princess movie from 2013. But no! Apparently Let It Go did not reach #1 on the Billboard Hot 100. The albums for both Frozen movies had, but Let It Go itself peaked at #5 on the Hot Singles chart. I mean, I know it's called Frozen, but I'm pretty sure it was pretty hot back then. Hey there, thank you for making it to the halfway mark of this video. Come subscribe if you haven't already for more animated movie news. Cheers. This is all to say, getting an animated movie single to #1 is a herculean accomplishment for K-Pop Demon Hunters. Something that only Disney managed to do beforehand, and only twice. K-Pop Demon Hunters now means that Sony breaks Disney's monopoly on matters. And as far as album releases go, K-Pop Demon Hunters is one of 7 animated film tracks to ever hit #1. It stands alongside massive Disney hits like the 2 aforementioned Frozen movies and Encanto in this regard, and also Disney classics like Pocahontas and The Lion King. The only other animated movie album to reach this metric was sing-alongs and lullabies for the film Curious George, and while that might seem like a totally random pick for some of you out there, let me just make it clear, that soundtrack is a banger. If you've ever heard Upside Down, you know what I'm talking about. Anyway, if it weren't for Curious George, K-Pop Demon Hunters would be the first time a soundtrack from a non-Disney animated film hit #1 on the charts. But no, the monkey got to it first, of course. Thanks, Will Ferrell. Still, despite the honors that George is keeping for himself, K-Pop Demon Hunters did earn the distinction of being the first non-Disney animated musical ever to perform this well on Billboard, which I guess is good enough. So yeah, the soundtrack did stupid well, and this says a lot about the reception of the movie. And despite lacking a proper theatrical release, I think it just goes to show just how much demand there would be for one. I already talked on the channel about the back and forth between Netflix and Sony over the sequel to K-Pop Demon Hunters that is absolutely happening, and whether it'll actually hit theaters or just stay on streaming. I mean, clearly it's Sony's most popular IP now, and that's crazy because they make, you know, Spider-Verse, Marvel, Spider-Man. Bigger than them, and it is an original IP, and somehow seems to be almost universally beloved, which, you know, is crazy that it still is that way. Usually, people start to get really irritated towards something once something gets popular enough to get #1 on the charts. But it's been 3 months, and I still wouldn't say that K-Pop Demon Hunters has become co-worker music, you know? I'm not sure if a real band could have this much success without controversy, especially a K-pop band. Like, I know a lot of people got irritated with BTS when they blew up, but I'm sure they were promptly taken outside and executed, because, those fans can be rather, ravenous. Either way, I think it's pretty fair to say the fictional Huntrix and Saja boys are doing way better than they would have done if this were a real band, and that's just a crazy timeline to be in. Literally, fictional characters are outdoing the real ones. And it's the joint successes of how these bands were handled by the filmmakers that brought this soundtrack to this point. Sure, Huntrix, again, don't miss, but it's not just Golden that reached #1 as a single, the whole album made it too. Soda Pop and all. And it just makes me wonder how the sequel will perform. Those are some pretty big shoes to fill. Or what the plot for the sequel will even end up being anyway. I mean, they made a pretty harsh decision near the end of that movie, but at least there's open threads from the middle that they didn't explore. Yay. But with this much success, of course, the money talks. And hopefully the next movie and soundtrack will be just as beloved as this one. Either way, this is yet another trophy in Sony's collection of recent successes, and another way in which the animation industry is starting to move past Disney. But that is about all we have to say on the matter for now. So, my name's been Daz. Thank you very much for reaching the end of this video. Do tell me your thoughts on K-Pop Demon Hunters hitting the charts. Do you think the sequel can actually keep up with that? Do you think it's worth it? Do you think the soundtrack's actually decent enough? Or are you, or people you know, starting to get irritated by it? It's interesting to hear. We don't talk about soundtracks much on this channel. Play them in the background all the time. Anyway, enough mumbling. I shall see you all in a little bit. Cheerio.